all my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel, where we embrace our femininity, increase our womanly value, and celebrate our brothers. So join me on our feminine journey to learn, heal, and grow. Hey there, my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel. I'm your hostess, femininity coach, and author of The Crimson Cure, and this is my perspective. Thank you so much, Almanize, for kicking off the contribution. I greatly appreciate. She said, hey, sis, a little something for the cookout. Because we got to talk about this. I seen this. We're going to go over a clip from a panel that DJ Hamp hosted over there on his channel. This Might Be Risky. And he actually took this snippet, and this is the snippet that I want to talk about. It's about 15 minutes long. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go through it piece by piece. Okay? Because there's a lot to dissect. This particular segment is about education. Now, the women on the panel, I think at least 3 of them are teachers, which would be including Hamp's wife, I do believe. And the other lady, I'm not familiar with that lady. But it was disturbing to me because oftentimes we talk about the educational system and we will talk about like what's going on with the reading scores of Black children. We'll start talking about and in order to address that, we will talk about the systemic issues that's going on in the schools. You know what I'm saying? We'll start talking about how the schools don't really receive as much funding when they are in impoverished neighborhoods or when they are in Black impoverished neighborhoods or poorer neighborhoods or working poor neighborhoods and things of that nature. And it's not that those things are not true. It's not that those things don't exist. Okay? It's not that those factors are not relevant or contributing. But when I listened to this panel and when I listened to some of the responses that were given for the examples that were given, I became a little bit disheartened. And it also opened my eyes because I'm 47. I have not been in grammar school in a very long time. Okay? I have not been in a grammar school in a very long time. So I'm no longer, it's been a minute since I've been a student. I've never been a teacher in a school. So therefore, you know, and I don't have children to look after that attended school to keep me up to date with what's going on in school. But at the same time, it had to open my eyes about how the education has changed since I was in grade school, since I was in middle school. And it was a shock to me. And I don't know that I should have been shocked, but it was because, I mean, anytime you got schools teaching quote unquote Common Core math, which I still don't understand. I don't understand Common Core math. I don't even know how they're teaching it. It seemed like it's going all around the world to do the same thing that we was doing quick, fast, and in a hurry. We would have whole worksheets for and with a 2-minute drill. Finish all the timetables, finish all of the it would be simple equations. Thank you so much, my names, for your super stick. I appreciate you greatly. Thank you so much. Okay. So it had to open my eyes. So I'm not going to run my mouth too much. I'm just going to I guess this is better like this, I guess. Whatever. So I just want y'all to listen. I'm going to be pausing at the appropriate points. You know what? Before I do that, no, you know what? I'm going to keep it just like this. I'm going to keep it like this.
That the teachers who land these jobs in these communities need to understand where they are and what their students bring to the table. And then they need to do their job of teaching standard American English.
I'm all about that. Be culturally aware of where you are and teach American English, or teach standard academic English.
So that students know how to culture switch when they need to. Yes.
Okay, if they see fit for that, but I don't think that's a responsibility of the teacher. The responsibility of the teacher needs to do exactly what you said. Be culturally aware, know thine audience, teach the language. Because if to say know when to culture switch, what if I don't want to culture? You know what I mean? Like, I never wanted to culture switch.
Then you don't want to. Well, it's not culture switching from standard to AAVE. We're teaching the kids to go the other way so that they can go out into the world and speak in a way where they can be recognized, acknowledged, get the job, get the college, get, whatever it is, right? We want them to be able to have that common language so that they can matriculate through society. But they can do that without giving up their home language. They don't have to give up their home language to do that.
So we don't have to tell them they have to give it up or not.
I'm gonna pause it right there because the bulk of the conversation, or the foundation of that conversation, was AAVE, which I think is an African American vernacular or something like that. Basically Ebonics, basically how we talk, our dialect of English versus standardized American English. Okay. Now, I don't never remember a time where we didn't speak Ebonics as Black people. To the extent that it was slightly different depending upon the region that you was in and the city that you came from. Because in Chicago, we speak a whole different way than Black people in New York, Black people from Detroit, Black people from the South, Black people from Atlanta, Black people from St. Louis, Black people from LA, Black people from San Diego, Black people from anywhere. I don't remember a time where we didn't speak slang. We spoke slang at the house all the time when I was young. Like, we spoke it. Okay? And I'm talking about growing up. But even then, we as children, we understood that when we got to the school, if we were supposed to write a paper, or we were supposed to make a presentation, or whenever we did our homework, or whenever we had a test, or whenever we couldn't put our slang in that paper. We knew that. So we knew the difference between you can't put fentanyl in your essay, in your English essay. You can't do that. Okay? You can't put what is you talking about in your essay. You cannot. We knew that growing up. We understood that we can't say finna, fintu, bout to, talking about I on phoneme. Like, we knew that. So if the teacher wanted you to do a book report, if the teacher wanted you to do an essay, when they were teaching us how to structure essays, how to structure outlines, how to write properly, we understood the difference. I don't care what we were saying at home. Right? We couldn't even do ain't. We couldn't even say ain't. I ain't doing that. We couldn't do that. So we understood the proper structure of a sentence when we was taking grammar classes. That's your English class. So I'm not understanding, but this video is going to help us illustrate why children today don't understand that. And then they can't make the switch over.
Let me ask a question. So I'm fixing. Do you have to denounce I'm fixing in order for them to learn their proper way to say I'm about to, I'm going to? How do you do you have to speak emphatically against it, saying this is incorrect? This is how you would form that sentence. Do you have to do that in order for the child to learn?
Well, yeah.
I don't believe so.
Okay, and I'm seeing an issue. It's at the home, and apparently it's at the schools too. Because what you guys think relatability is you're leading people down a path in which that they're not able to recover from like you think they are. This whole code switching thing, they're not at that point. They don't understand it well. And the reason why we look at the test scores is because we can see the understanding and it's lacking. And I just don't understand what you guys are trying to promote. So I be talking, or what would you say, Tip? He coming, what were the sentences? Don't you have to say that's incorrect? Here's the correct way to say it.
No.
Funny.
You can say he funny. Okay. Yes.
That's wrong.
No.
Well,
no, that's the problem. That's the problem right there. The no. You don't say it's wrong. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You do say that it's wrong. Because we're gonna speak Ebonics anyway. We're gonna speak our dialect from where we come from anyway, whether the teachers say it's wrong or not. So yes, you actually do have to say that is incorrect grammatically. Grammatically, that is incorrect. We're accustomed to it. And I'm not one to sit here and say black people shouldn't speak in slang, because every language got their slang version. Every language. English is not unique in that fashion. Every language has its slang and its different dialects that get spoken depending upon the region where the people live. In every language across the world, nobody is speaking the most proper version of their own language. There's the super proper version, and then there's the common tongue language, the common dialect. Everybody in China don't speak proper Mandarin. Some people are speaking Cantonese. So there are other dialects of a language. And depending upon the region that you live, or the tribe you come from, or the area that you come from, that language, that you're still going to speak it, even if you learn the grammatically correct version of your language. The problem with saying, no, you don't say it's wrong, this problem is extrapolated out into everything else. Thank you. That's the word. Your colloquial language. I don't never say black people not supposed to have colloquial language. We gonna always do that, and we're not unique. It's not something wrong with us because we do that. Everybody for every language does that. Jamaicans know how to speak proper English, but colloquially it's patois. Do you understand? That's not grammatically correct English. Patois is not grammatically correct English. It is English though. When you hear it, they're not speaking another language, but it is a dialect. And unless you understand patois or you speak it, you may have a hard time understanding exactly what they're talking about. But to sit up there as school teachers, that's not your job. It's enabling it. If you're coming to me not as a teacher, my students are coming to me to teach them the correct thing. We already know what it's gonna be at the house or outside of an academic setting. We already know that. Nothing can stop that. So we don't have to reaffirm it. That's going to get reinforced as soon as they leave the classroom. But while they're in the classroom, you have to specifically express to them that the grammar that they are using is incorrect. Why it's incorrect. Teach them the grammatical, because if you're not telling them that it's wrong, then you're not telling them the parts of speech. You're not telling them, they're not getting verbs, nouns. They're not getting that. They're not getting what the parts of the speeches are. What's definitive? What's not definitive? We're gonna let it finish because I want y'all to really hear this out.
Hold on. I'm talking now, right? I don't want anybody to answer me in on a diatribe. I'm just setting the stage so you guys understand, right? So here's what I'm saying. Here's what I'm saying. He be talking, right? He's talking. He is talking. He be talking is incorrect. Isn't that how you would teach that or reinforce it? Or are you saying you justify saying you can speak grammatically incorrect in your house, but in front of people at school, in front of somebody you deem important, you have to speak grammatically correct? Is that how you would, how would you do that?
I wouldn't necessarily even address what's being spoken in the house. I'm hearing the child, because I'm hearing the child speak. So I know what's being spoken in the house.
So
no,
but you're saying
and that tells me.
You're saying that you're letting it live, right? So how does this conversation go?
So the child say, I be fixing, or whatever the case is.
No. This is the one I want. I want he be talking. Let's
he be talking. He be talking. Mm-hmm. So I would first help the child to understand what the perpetual be is. It implies time, always. So he be talking is essentially saying he's talking all the time, right? So I want the child to understand the grammatical part of it. And then I ask them, how would you say that in academic language? How would you change he be talking into an academic sentence or statement?
So you don't let them know that they said it incorrectly.
They said it incorrectly for the situation that we're in, yes, but so it's not wrong.
So you're saying grammar, right?
Standard academic grammar, yes.
Academic grammar, right? That's
academic.
Accepted overwhelmingly. You wouldn't say to that student that you said that incorrectly. Here's the understanding about B. Here's why. Here's like you wouldn't correct it in that way.
I don't need to tell the child that his home language is wrong or incorrect. I don't need to do that.
Okay. And
all I need to do is help the child. All I need to do is help the child to know how to say it properly when in that situation.
Okay. So they get to speak grammatically incorrect at home, right? Based on standard English.
Well,
and then everywhere else, you're saying that they're supposed to discern when or not to use their home language.
Get to him like that. That's what they're speaking. They're coming to us already with this language.
So why is there no correction as teachers? And this is why. And
I just gave you the correction.
No, I'm starting to see it more and more. Right? Coaches don't actually do that. Right? That's why we're more effective now. I'm understanding it. Right?
The reason I'm not interrupting it is because I need y'all to listen to the entire thought. Now we heard what we heard. Now listen to what Hamp is saying.
So what
well, you thought that anyway.
Well, no, I'm seeing it now, especially, right? Because you give credence to things that don't deserve any credence, right?
What
So when
credence did
kids
I
do,
give?
I'm gonna finish talking and then you can retort. Right? Let's do it like that now.
Okay, all right.
So when I'm coaching a kid, right, in terms of a technique, right, I teach the technique. He don't get to add nuance because his nuance is incorrect, right? It's leading him down a bad path. You understand? When the kids are sagging, not speaking, not saying yes sir, no sir, you correct that so that they don't perpetuate that poor behavior, right? So I don't say you can go sag in front of your mommy. No, you don't sag your pants because that's not what men do. But y'all are giving so much credence to things that have no value and that we expect for the kids to be successful. That doesn't make any sense. And then we start complaining about systemic things. This is a systemic thing that we're addressing, right? Systematically, we didn't have education, but systemically, we are perpetuating this thing that does not help us. And I just don't understand. I digress. Go ahead, Dr. G. Not digress.
Now, let's address what Hamp just said. Because he's absolutely right. Now, do you understand why our children are reading below par at a 4th grade level and the correlation between that and the high number of single mother-led households in the Black community? Are we connecting those dots? I need y'all to connect those dots. The single mother-led household in the Black community, I just did the stats the other day. Of Black mothers, about 47%, almost 50% of Black women who are mothers are single mothers. So these are households where they have children or rearing children. And these children don't have a consistent male presence or a good male presence. Sometimes they do not have a male presence at all. So they are being led by females. And these are not just any females. These are not the women of the past who understood blatant language, yes, no, right, wrong, here, there, up, down. These are women who have been infected with a more liberal sense of the world, which we understand a lot of that liberalism left. You can participation trophy. We can all do it. That's all invasive and pervasive within the public school educational system, especially within Black schools. So then you got children being raised not by men, but by women who don't see a need. They didn't see the need. And forgive me, because I'm not trying to talk about them women specifically, but we saw what we saw. They didn't see a need to say a hard no to something. No, that is incorrect. Here's the correct thing. What is it going to hurt that child for you to sit there and tell them that was incorrect? If Johnny had 3 apples, how many of us got whoopings at the kitchen table because no, it is wrong. You study coming back to this, but it's incorrect. We didn't get coddled at school and we didn't get coddled at the house. And I grew up in a dysfunctional house. Many of us did. But you was going to sit there at that kitchen table or in that classroom, and if you got called up to the board and you did it wrong, the teacher was quick to tell you, no, that's incorrect. And that wasn't mean. They weren't being mean to us. Most teachers found a diplomatic way to tell you you were wrong, but they told you you were wrong. The answer you came up with was incorrect. This is the correct, what's the correct thing? And they would show you the process again. Now, what's the answer? Because grammatically correct English is not subjective. Grammatically correct English is not subjective. So here we have a group of women that don't know how to say no, always trying to find a soft way to just try to move you in the right. I can't even say that that's necessarily just a feminine thing to do more than I can say it's a feminist thing to do. The reason why I'm saying this is more of a liberal type of thing is because we understand that liberalism and the way that we understand that in society is largely devoid of masculinity, masculine thought, and masculine energy. So the way that a man would do that is different than a way that a woman would do it. Now we can understand why these chicks having so much trouble raising their kids. You don't even tell them no. You too worried about how these kids gonna be reacting to you telling them that they got the wrong answer. You're not about to hurt their feelings, and even if you do, how many times was we crying because them answers was wrong on that test, or the homework came back bad? But I bet you I learned from it though. So the example that Hemp gave was, no, as a coach, as a man, I don't enable the bad behavior. I get to the core of why they're doing it, and I tell them no. Not code switching around me, because they may or may not do that anyway. But my job is to not enable it. So you're not going to get the coddling when it comes to me. I'm not going to be trying to make you feel better about that. If you got to feel bad about it after I correct you, then go over there and feel bad about it. Because I really don't want to hear no crying and sniffling and talking back. This is why you need, in that snippet, he just demonstrated why the women need the men in the home, why the children need the men in the home. Because these women are too busy trying to relate to the kids. No, that has its place, but not at school. School is not the place. We didn't get a break when we was growing up. You did that essay properly. You read those sentences properly. Underline the verb, circle the noun. Put a line through the adjective. You had to know that stuff. You had to know it, or you weren't gonna pass that test. We're gonna go back to this video because I'm not done at all. But the first thing I want to do is go to a commercial break. So after these messages, we'll be right back, because I need everybody to go to ashkicking.com. The link is pinned to the top of the chat. If you want to keep your skin looking and feeling its absolute best, then you need the body butter that's on the screen right now. Once again, the link ashkicking.com is pinned to the top of the chat. If this is going to be your first order, please use the promo code Crimson in order to receive 10% discount at checkout. Once again, the link is pinned to the top of the chat, ashkicking.com. Oh, you got to bam, 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 bam. You got to hit the like button, bam, bam. You got to go ahead and hit the like button. Thank you. Anyone can learn. True, but there are certain things teachers can't do. Politics. Maybe I'm bugging. I'm tweaking. Am I tweaking? Because I'm not saying that you're wrong. Anyone can learn. I'm not saying that you were wrong for what you're saying. But is it it to the point where teachers can't say, I be talking is grammatically incorrect in an English class where they're supposed to be teaching grammar? Like, is it that bad? And that's a genuine question. That's not me being like a butthole. I'm genuinely asking. Like I told you, I'm old. I ain't been in school in quite some time. Thank you, DT, for your super stick. Appreciate you. Thank you, Hannibal. Said, shout out to my sister, matching blue hijab with the flat earrings. May Allah bless you this Friday. I mean, thank you so much, brother. Thank you, Ruminant. Said a teacher was talking about the perpetual B to children who are struggling with C-spot run. Does she think elementary schools kids can parse the theory behind alternative grammar when they just learned their ABCs? I'm so glad that you said that, because that's exactly where I'm going with that. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, Charles, once again for your contribution. Greatly, greatly, greatly appreciated. Thank you. I don't know, Ruminant. I don't know. This is a great question, because it leads me into something that I want to read to y'all, because I don't think people understand the significance when we say that our children in 4th grade are reading under standard, below the standard, severely so. Thank you, Amina. I say it is not that bad, sis. That is a cop-out. I don't know. So I ain't real quick to say folks wrong. Thank you so much, Amin. I want to read something out to y'all. Okay. Sorry, your kid probably doesn't read proficiently. This was posted earlier this year. Okay. I'm not real familiar with this, like Washington Informer, I guess, but the information, here's what I want y'all to know. As the decades-long debate over the best way to teach kids, I don't know if y'all can see this or not, the best way to teach kids how to read, a phonics-based approach or a whole word approach, rages on. One thing remains true. Most students still aren't reading on grade level. The National Center of Education Statistics recently released the nation's report card for 2024 and found that only 30% of all 4th graders and 29% of all 8th graders nationwide scored at or above proficiency in reading. That's less than half. That's for everybody, regardless of their race. However, the results are worse among Black students. Only 17% of Black 4th graders scored at or above proficiency, a percentage that has not improved since 2022 and is worse than a decade ago. And Black 8th graders currently have a 14% proficiency rate, down from 15% in 2022. Let that sink in. In 2024, when AI can write your essays and TikTok can teach you anything practically, schools are still failing to ensure that a majority of Black children learn one of the most fundamental skills. The data is alarming. And with the results, Black students are at a competitive disadvantage. Reading, she explains, is a critical skill needed to excel not just in school, but throughout their lives. Okay. Now, here's the thing. I wanted to read something else. Read well by 3rd grade. This was really important. Then there's the 3rd grade factor. This is key. Students learn how to read until 3rd grade, and then they begin reading to learn starting in 4th grade. Falling behind in literacy at this critical stage creates barriers for Black students to academic achievement and perpetuates cycles of oppression. I'm going to read that one more time. Students learn how to read until 3rd grade, and then they begin reading to learn starting in 4th grade. Falling behind in literacy at this critical stage creates barriers for Black students to academic achievement and perpetuates cycles of oppression. Do y'all get what's going on with do y'all get the significance of that sentence? You learn how to read until grade 3. How to read. Grade 4 is when you read to learn. Do y'all know the difference? Put a 1 in the chat if you understand the difference between learning how to read and reading to learn. Because if you don't know the fundamentals of reading, you cannot read to learn. You can't learn. You can't learn. So if the children are learning to read from like ages like 4, by the time you're in 3rd grade, you're about 7 or 8. So you've got about 4 years to learn how to read. This is to get you to just say the words properly. This is not grammar. You're not teaching a 6-year-old grammar. You're not teaching them grammar. You're teaching them phonics, the sounding out of the word. How to identify the word, how to identify the letters, how to identify a sentence. This is why children's books were the way that they were when we was young. It was big, the pictures were there, the words were big, they were simple. They taught you to put your finger on the word as you say it. If the word had more than 1 syllable, you had to sound it out. They had a whole thing when we was young. Remember Hooked on Phonics? Who remembers Hooked on Phonics? Who remembers Hooked on Phonics? Hooked on Phonics was a whole program that was introduced that was supposed to help children learn how to read by giving them easy phonetics in order to break down words. In learning the phonetics help you break down large words. I still use phonics to learn how to phonetically break a word down. I still use that. At 47, I remember the lesson. How to break a word down in its syllables, in its phonics, and where the stress is. So when you get a multi-syllable word, you can use your phonics to break the word down into its, so you can say it. That usually helps you to understand the word. But before you could get to understanding the word, you had to be able to say the word, identify the word, read the word. Once you get to 4th grade, you should have the phonics figured out. If the 4th graders are not reading at level, that means everything failed up until that point. They did not learn how to read, period. That's what that means. Nobody made sure that they could actually read. If the child cannot read for comprehension, after you got them past phonics, break down the words, syllables for the words, things of that, recognition of the words, and all of this type of stuff, now it's time to read for comprehension. Now you're getting more into what do the words mean. Using context clues to figure out what words mean, sometimes even when you don't know. So now you're reading for comprehension. That's what they mean by at 4th grade, you read to learn. So now when they put a book or a piece of paper with written instruction in front of you from 4th grade on, you're supposed to be able to read it to understand what's being said to you, not simply to identify the word. Like I said, now you're getting into meanings of words, definitions of words, making sure that you can spell the words, and making sure that you understand the grammar, now sentence structures, you know what I'm saying, and things of that nature. It gets more advanced. You can't advance if the foundation is not laid. That's like trying to do calculus and you can't add. Knowledge is cumulative. Education is cumulative. There's no way you're doing algebra if you can't do the operations of math: addition, subtraction, division, multiplication. If you do not understand mathematical operation at its core, in its simplest forms, you cannot understand any other math. Reading is the same way. This is why reading, mathematics, writing, this is why these are the fundamentals of education. Because if you can't write, you can't read, and you can't count, you can't do anything. You can't do anything. You can't understand anything. I understand the movement of technology, but them taking out how to spell. If you don't remember them sheets of paper, listen when I tell you. You had them spelling sheets of paper. Them long spelling sheets of paper. You knew what time it was when you walked in the classroom on Friday and the teacher didn't say nothing and she just started walking down the aisle with that piece of paper, putting it on everybody's desk. You knew what time it was. You needed to have practiced them words all week. They gave you like 15 words, 10 to 15 words at the beginning of the week. We focused on them words. Use the word in a sentence. Put the word in the context. Understand it. What's the definition of the word? We have to write the definition of the word. We have to spell the word. But by Friday, you had that long piece of paper on your desk. It was a timer. She only gave you a few minutes. And she would call out the word. Spell such and such. Number one. And you better have studied it. We used to have whole spelling bees. I don't even know if they got spelling bees. Do they have spelling bees? This is why our children are behind. Not only is it a systemic thing where we can look at the government and we can look at socioeconomics and politics and things of that nature, but the teachers themselves. This is why we need more male teachers. We need more male teachers. I'm sorry. Let's go back.
I digress. I want to stay on the conversation, but I'm gonna be quiet.
Well, I think that when you're comparing it to football, I think it's a very simple thing. You either do this correctly or you do it wrong. It's like that. I didn't say anything about football. Well, didn't you just give an example of someone sagging their pants or things of that nature? That football. Was your,
That's not football.
Well, what was your example? Coaching. Well, I'm saying, when you're coaching, there's a standard. There's this is right, and it's a black and white situation. And when we're coming into this, it's not black and white.
Why?
It's not a black and white situation when we're dealing with children. And I think that's what it's hard to just be able to take
one piece out because we keep talking about test scores.
One
We
point of
keep always-
clarification.
Huh?
One point of clarification. Are you saying that grammar is not black and white?
I'm saying that I think it's more complex than just a black and white
So
thing.
let me ask you a question. Are you saying that grammar is not black and white?
Okay, grammar itself is black and white, yes. But I think what happens is it's not a simple fix because like I keep saying, okay,
And that is where our women are wrong. It is black and white. It is a simple fix. It is. Yes, it is. Grammar is simple. I don't like this new learning because nobody's learning. I don't like this new learning because ain't nobody learning nothing. They make you dumb in this classroom so you could be dumb when you're an adult, and you only have the options to do dummy work when you are an adult because you are a dummy, because you went to school for K through 12, you graduated 8th grade, you graduated out of 12th grade, and you still don't know anything. So that you could be a dummy when you get out of school, so you could be a worker, so you could be an employee, so you could be useless at this point in a society because 40 years ago you could jump out and just make have a small job and this and that. Now that's not even an option. AI is replacing those jobs. So you can't even rely on those lower wage jobs to get you by. They're going to start introducing universal basic income because AI will remove most of the non-skilled, lower skilled jobs. And because they taught you how to be a dummy, and unfortunately, our Black women are yet again complicit. You complicit again. You complicit again. It's not too nuanced. It's not too nuanced. I think one part of it is because in our schools, the teachers are asked to do more than what a teacher does, getting into children's personal lives, because sometimes their personal lives are so chaotic and tumultuous and they're being neglected to such an extent that they can't help but bring it to school. A teacher's trying to understand why the child can't progress. And when they realize that the child's home life is not conducive to anything, they're either being neglected or they're being abused, or you realize that they're pillar to post, or you realize that they're homeless, or you realize that they don't have any supervision or no guidance at the home. There's nobody that's helping them, or whatever. So they just kind of doing whatever. Teachers get too involved. And I'm not saying that it's wrong to have the compassion or to have the empathy for the children, because you realize that whatever it is that's going on with them outside of school is greatly affecting what's going on in school. I get that part of it. But I also need our teachers, our female teachers, to understand that the best way to help them, because you can't get involved with what they're doing at the house. Unfortunately, there's nothing you can do. Maybe with 1 or 2 kids, but you can't save everybody. Unfortunately, you can't do it. I wish we could. In a perfect world, we could, but we cannot. So the best way to help them move forward is to teach them everything they need to know. You got to teach them what they need to know so that they can overcome. but they cannot overcome with too much empathy about what's going on with them. It was many a days I came to school with my belly touching my backbone, having just witnessed and been up all night because of domestic violence in my house. Then had to wait. It was up all night, couldn't get no sleep because your mom and daddy is fighting like cats and dogs until early in the morning. Then you got to wake up. There ain't no food in there, so you can't eat. Ain't no breakfast. You got to get up. You got to wash yourself. You got to brush your teeth. You got to get yourself dressed and get yourself gone to school. With all that stress on you as a kid. And then you got to try to get in the classroom and try to pay attention to what's going on. That's one thing I don't, and I only can give the all praises due to Allah, because me and my brother, especially me and my older brother, because for a long time it was just us two. And whatever Allah put in us, we said we gotta get this school stuff, because we're not just gonna live like this. We're not gonna become adults and live like this. And for whatever reason, we thought that no matter what we was going through at the house, that school got to be tight. And I mean, we was honor students from that crazy household. It only got worse as time went on. It did not get better. And we would go to school with all that trauma and pass them classes with flying colors. We never failed no grade. We never skipped no grade. We never had to do summer school. We never had to be tutored. None of it. I shudder to think what we would have, because we came out awesome. I shudder to think who we would have been had we not had them setbacks. The best thing that happened to me in those situations was my teachers, for the most part, didn't know we was going through that stuff. Our teachers didn't know that. We didn't tell our teachers that. It was some students that it was all over them, so they couldn't help it. And it might have been all over us, but we didn't discuss it with our teachers. The best thing our teachers did, especially in my experience, was break that stuff down to a fine sauce. This is what it is. This is what it is. And sometimes the teacher would, because we know we went to black schools, so sometimes the teacher would have like real talk with us. You know, the world not going to forgive you. The world is not going to have sympathy and empathy from where you come from and what's going on at home. If there's something going on at home, the world don't care. The world don't care. It don't care. It don't care at all. We care. Other people care. But the world, when you grow up and when you, because it's going to be a day that you don't got to come to this school. And what are you going to do? Them people out there don't care what your background is. If you can't do this work, if you can't do that job, if you can't do it, you can't understand it, you can't count, you can't read. They was like, so many people gonna take advantage of you, you'll never get nowhere. You think your life rough now, it's just gonna get worse. So do your work. They would sometimes have like real talk with us. And I'm talking about not just the black ones, the white ones would too. I remember it was in 7th grade, my science teacher was a white lady. She was Irish because she was always talking about her Irish background. And we were doing a science fair. And I was gonna do some kind of bootleg science project because I knew that I didn't have the money to pay for the materials to do the project that I really wanted to do. So I told her, you have to tell her what you're gonna do. So I told her what I was gonna do, and she stopped for a minute and just looked at me. She said, "Kendra." I said, "What?" She said, "Let me tell." We was by ourselves because like class had let out, and she said, "Let me tell you something." She said, "As a white woman talking to a young black girl that is going to be a black woman someday, you are black in this country, and I don't want you to get offended, but I'm here to tell you something." She said, "The world is not going to take it easy on you just because you downplaying yourself." She said, don't get into a habit of doing that." She said, you're one of my smartest students in this class. And this science project that you just picked is beneath you by several levels. I'm actually disappointed. She's like, "You are extremely intelligent. You're smarter than most of my students, period. And I've worked in colleges. Don't do that to yourself. Don't start doing that to yourself. Don't do it, because the world will not forgive it. Okay? They will not reward you. Honest to God, she said that. She said, this is a white world we live in. It's a white country. You understand? Do you understand what I'm telling you? She said, and my black students, she said, I run into so many of y'all that's so smart. Y'all so smart. She said, I know it be different circumstances. And she said, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't never dim yourself. Shine as brightly as you possibly can. She's saying they ain't gonna like that either, but it'll serve you. Okay? That's what honest to God, that woman told me that. I don't know why we want to coddle our children. We coddle them into failure.
Everyone comes in speaking proper English. Our test scores still are not going to fly high. That's not happening.
How do you make that statement?
Because there's so many different factors. Our test scores still are not going. But I think what happens is it's not a simple fix, because like I keep saying, okay, everyone comes in speaking proper English. Our test scores still are not going to fly high. That's not happening.
How do you make that statement?
Because there's so many different factors that goes into the reasons why that happens, that they can speak proper English, but maybe they don't have the amount of vocabulary words that are needed. They can say 5 words correctly. They can say, I want to eat. That's proper English. They're coming in with that, but that doesn't mean they have the robust vocabulary that is needed. Or they have,
a fourth grader, you said speaking proper English, right? Which means the phonetics go with that, right? Because if you have words on a piece of paper, but you say fixing at your house all the time, you don't have the identification tools, right? And I just don't understand how teachers, people who are expert, can't see this for plain for what it is. And when I looked up the thing, 52% of Black children in 4th grade read at a deficient level, while 45% of Hispanics in 4th grade read at a deficient level. And I just can't believe that we continue to say this, And we don't have any results to back it up. And we want to continue to talk about nuance as opposed to putting pressure on things that need to be put pressure on, like the parents, like the teachers.
I want to pause it right here. She said that she did not think, it was her opinion, that even if the children were speaking proper English, that the test scores and things of that nature would not necessarily improve to the degree that maybe we think that they would improve. And I beg to differ. I beg to differ with her, because I just pointed out the difference between reading to learn how to read versus after 4th grade and up, reading to learn, reading for comprehension. If you cannot read with proper comprehension, you can't do any of the other disciplines of academia properly. The real test of reading comprehension was math word problems. The truest test of reading comprehension was math word problems. That's why people hate word problems. People hate word problems. Because in mathematics, when you had word problems, either if your comprehension of that word problem was wrong, your equation was going to be incorrect, and so was your answer. The correct mathematical answer from a word problem depended directly upon your comprehension of that word problem and the words within the problem. How the words were worded, how everything was worded determined what the equation should have been. You're not going to do anything properly if you are not reading with proper comprehension. This is why, and I've said it before, comprehension kicking folk butt. Now I see why. Now I see why. On this internet today, reading comprehension, comprehending what people are talking about, concepts, people stupid. People stupid. Stupid. We used to have to learn in school the difference between a concrete and an abstract. So an idea that was abstract or abstract concepts, critical thought. That's what they're not teaching in school, critical thought. They so worried about whether or not folks is teaching critical race theory. What about critical thought, thinking, putting 2 and 2 together when you read something or when you hear something or when information comes to you, how to parse out information, how to register and consume information critically. I was highly disappointed. I'm gonna let it finish though.
But
How would you suggest we pressure parents?
Reinforce, right? So the actual homework that goes home, right? And when it doesn't get done and it's not correct, Teachers don't call. Teachers don't care. I've heard teachers talk and say as much about they don't care, right? And then y'all complaining about the money that y'all not getting.
Okay, Hemp, hold on. You putting too much. You putting too many layers on it. My
Dr.
question
Watson
was,
put a bunch of layers on it. Dr. Jean, you didn't
well,
say anything. She said something about it's the teachers, and then the mom is working hard, and then the
and
dad
that's
got
what I'm
an orgy.
addressing. I'm addressing the.
Hold on, wait, Dr. G, take this walk with me. Dr. Watson said a whole bunch. The mom got 6 jobs. Who the fuck? She don't get tired. I heard that song, right? I know who Kevin Gates is. She can't fool me with that. But she added all this stuff in that we're not talking about.
But we are talking about it. You all want to lay it at the feet of the parents, and nobody is disagreeing with that, right? My question to you is, the parents aren't doing it, so now what?
No, that's not how solutions work, right? See,
No, Hemp, listen, I'm trying to get you to understand that we still have a job to do.
There's very little I misunderstand.
Well, it's not that you misunderstood it. Maybe it was me, right? But what I'm trying to be clear about,
You said you're trying to get me to understand. That's why I said that.
Oh, okay. My bad. I misspoke. Okay. What I'm trying to be clear about is we still have a job to do. The teachers, the kids are coming to us this way. We're not creating this. This is already happening, right? This is what's happening. And educational professionals and theorists have tried to reconcile what's already happening, right? Not that we're creating it. We're trying to create strategies and protocols and ways so that students can get what it is that they need. To simply say it's on the parents, that doesn't give educators anything. And another point that Dr. Watson made was that it's so many different layers to this. There is no system in America that has worked out for Black men, Black boys.
Before we get into that, we're gonna backtrack.
There's anything. Not that we're creating it, we're trying to create strategies and protocols and ways so
the strategy and the protocol is to teach the correct thing versus the incorrect thing. This is what I hate about our school system. Not only are the public schools themselves unequally yoked due to lack of funding, due to how the schools are structured and all of the various race-based things are implemented and things of that nature. But we're not even doing the basics that are within our power. And I think that's what frustrated me the most in this clip, is because we're not doing what's within our power. There are things that are not in our purview to rectify or to address. But the things that are in our purview to address, we don't do it. Correcting that grammar, just using the example that was being used in the video, that's a simple one. That's a simple one. It's a simple one. The other thing, when we stop failing these kids and make them repeat that grade, that's when it really went down the tubes. Because even if you had a mother or father that was kind of checked out a little bit, or really not capable of helping you with your homework after a certain point, or helping with your schoolwork after a certain point, if you came up and you didn't get to that next grade and they told you got to repeat it, you either got to go to summer school or you got to repeat it. That used to wake them parents up. Oh, wait, you completely failed? Now it's like, well, you just not figured out, but it would work. Because we would laugh at you. You 16 years old, still in 7th grade. Boy, what? Girl, what? You got to do 7th grade again? Ooh. Kids started getting it together on their own once they realized they ain't walking across that stage. You can't go to 8th grade. Or you went, but you can't graduate. You can't graduate. You did not get enough credits. You did not pass enough classes. So you got to repeat 8th grade. You cannot walk across the stage with your friends. Nope. Got to do it again. Yeah, got to do it again. You did not want to be the kid that had to do it again. You did not want to be the kid, because most of us went to grammar school. Most of us went to all grammar school together. Kids out the neighborhood, usually it was maybe 1 or 2 schools in the neighborhood, and we all kind of knew each other. We know when you failed that when you failed. We know when you failed, because you still in Miss Williams' class. Miss Williams only teach 5th graders. You still in Miss Williams' class? Ha ha! You still in Miss Williams' class? Ah! We knew you failed by which lunch period you was in. You still doing 6th period lunch? Ooh. We would roast you for that. You was all kind of dummies and all kind of stuff. So you gotta go, you still gotta go to Mr. Johnson's young class. Oh. Cause 6th grade is when we start switching periods. You don't switch periods? That's how we knew you failed. Cause 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, we thought we was big. We thought we was big kids. Cause now we switching classes like the high school kids. You was a little kid if homeroom was the only class you was in. Your one teacher teach all your subjects. You failed. So you failed, huh? You failed. We know you failed. That's why we asked the question, because we're gonna clown you. Y'all remember that? We used to clown kids for that. And the kids that really couldn't pass, they would go ahead and drop out. Like if they really couldn't pass and they kept on getting older, they had to drop out. After a certain point, you couldn't repeat the class. You getting too old to even be here. You in that classroom with 5 students. You slow? You in the slow class? You in the slow class. We're not doing the part that we can do. That's where I'm stuck. We don't do the part that we do. I'm gonna actually let it finish. I know we're kind of across the time, but I'm gonna let it finish. It's just a few more minutes.
That students can get what it is that they need. To simply say it's on the parents, that doesn't give educators anything. And another point that Dr. Watson made was that it's so many different layers to this. There is no system in America that has worked out for Black men, Black boys, Black people. Every system in this country is somehow disenfranchising Blackness. Why would we expect anything different from education? Education is the one field that could actually liberate. Why would it not be a part of the system that all these other systems, judicial, medical, you know what I'm saying? Like,
let me get this, Aaron, right? I also want us to be very mindful of what we're saying about our people and our culture, right? They are not adept. They cannot service or help their kids. They can't reinforce standard English and grammar at their houses. So now what, right?
Because I didn't say that. I said it's not happening. I didn't say they couldn't.
Now, here's the thing about decorum, right? I'm just telling you, right? This is the second time I called it out. Okay, I'm just saying. But I just want us to hear it. The parents can't do it. The parents can't help us. The parents will not. So now what, right? That was what was posed to me. Aaron, I'm bugging.
I don't know.
That's
I just
not
want
what
us to realize.
Oh,
I just want us
okay.
to realize. You have opportunity. I just want us to realize what we're saying about our people.
I never said couldn't. I never said couldn't.
You said they're not?
I said it's not happening. Whether they can or can't, the end result is it's not happening.
So now what, right?
Right. And so it's on the teachers now to try to make up the difference.
What I'm doing is 260 people here, right? So I love all of y'all, right? I'm talking to y'all. But I also want us to understand what we saying our people are incapable of, or at the very least unwilling to do, right? We don't have the results. They haven't stepped in. So now the teachers got to do all the heavy lifting, right? That just shows what it says about our people. We don't have faith.
We don't have what?
Faith in us being to help our children.
That's not true. And that's not what I'm articulating anyway. I've never, ever diminished us as a people. I'm simply looking at the facts of the matter. That's it. I'm looking at the raw facts.
I get it.
Sure, perhaps it should happen at home. Absolutely. Parents are responsible for what they create. Their children, their debt, everything that they create, they're responsible for. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. What we have to do, however, is service what shows up. That's what we do as educators. We deal with what shows up.
You correct.
And so whether parents can or absolutely, I'm teaching children how to matriculate into society. They can't.
He went back, and I don't think that was caught. He went back. He went back to, do you correct them? He went back to, do you correct them? He went all the way back to the beginning of that other clip, when they weren't really correcting and did not see the need to. And I don't think that they really caught what it was that he said. Hamp do that a lot. He'll do a one-liner, and if you're not listening, you won't get it. Did they correct it? Real simple. Because you talking all of this about what's not going on and what's not, but when they got to you, did you say a definitive yes or no? Did you give them a definitive answer about whether something was correct or not? Because if you know they're not getting that definitive answer nowhere else, you got to provide it. Because at the very least, they need to be able to think back to when they got that lesson. If they're not getting the lesson at the home, then they got to get it from you. And if your empathy is too strong, Well, they're not getting over there. They don't really know what I'm talking about. So let me soft shoe around them. These children are not reading. They can't read. They can't write. So they can't understand nothing. I know for a fact they don't got them reading this fundamental book fairs no more. I know for a fact they don't do that. Because books ain't even a thing no more. So I know for a fact they not doing that. You letting them text and do all this foolishness. That's shorthand. Y'all got them doing shorthand. So they don't even know how to spell words and identify words because they're immediately going from, they're not learning the correcting first. They're learning the shorthand and the slang first. And then once they get to school, the teachers allow them to continue in that instead of saying that's shorthand. Spell it. Spell it out. People think you spell you as the letter U and not Y-O-U. I see it over the internet all day. There, and there, kicking folks' butt. Our and R, kicking folks' butt. Word and weird, they don't know apostrophes. They don't understand contractions. They could not tell you what a contraction was. If you say aren't, what are those two words? What are those words? So I know y'all not doing book fairs and stuff. Yeah, right. 2, 2, and 2 got them messed up. They don't even understand. And Thanos, they don't even understand what the contraction ain't is. They don't even understand that contraction. Ain't is a contraction of am not. That's the actual contraction. That's why it actually made it into grammatical English. I am not, I ain't. That what are prefixes? What are suffixes? We had to learn all of that. Now I understand why don't nobody know what nobody talking about. It's just another minute.
Do it speaking their home language. So I teach them standard.
So
Have you ever?
Good shit, Dr. G. You know what I ain't gonna do for $45,000 is raise your kids. Go ahead, Aaron. Ever heard the phrase "those who can't do teach"? I don't know if people know what the origin of that is, but there was a job they wanted to do. That job was unavailable, so they became teachers. All right.
Nasty word.
And a lot of you niggas who are working at Amazon, go ahead and get you a teacher certificate. Yeah, because we need y'all in this school. What? they in here teaching hooked on phonics and AAEV and ABCD and some other LGBT. Y'all niggas get the fuck in them schools.
They be tripping.
Yeah. Get in these schools, man. All right. These women. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Be safe and do the right thing, man. Like, share, subscribe.
It's the women. They think it's okay. They run their life like that. Don't correct it. This is why so many women have such an issue taking accountability and correcting themselves and other women that's in their circle that they can influence and correct. They don't tell them no. They don't tell them no. They don't tell them no. The things that you're doing are wrong, sis. It's wrong. In the interest of being a girl's girl, you're not telling them stuff is wrong. In the interest of trying to relate to the children, you're not telling them this is wrong, but this is incorrect. And then hoping somehow, if you say it in a subtle way, that they'll get it. They don't. They're kids. You got to say it blunt. You got to put stuff blunt. And so many of our women are brainwashed by this left liberal thought pattern of this soft, you're gonna hurt their feelings. You know, you got, gentle parenting, gentle teaching. You gotta coddle. You gotta just try to get it out of them, but you can't be real blunt because they're not gonna really, they're not gonna respond well. Yes, they do. Kids respond just well, just fine to blunt what it is. This is why men get certain results that women don't. When men are in teaching and coaching positions and positions of that nature, this is why they can get the kids to do what you can't get the kids to do. Because it's only so much that they're going to even take. No, but I said no because it's wrong. You can't do that. But I don't want to hear no but. No. Now you either get over there and do such and such, such and such or not. Or you go home. Which one you want to do? Mumble again, you're not going to play in the next game. Say something else. Matter of fact, run 5 laps. Run 5 laps. Run 5 laps. I don't want to hear nothing else. We don't care if the children get upset. They'll be all right. I can't tell you how many times I was mad as a kid. I'm 47. I don't even remember why I was mad. I don't remember half them incidents. Thank you to Renzo. Said neuro-linguistic programming and etymology helps with phonetics. Everyone must master it by teaching themselves and learning it at home by age 7. Thank you so much, Truth Seeker. Hit it up twice. Said, I'm so tired of my people, specifically Black women, going out of their way to find every excuse to not excel and make sure we're competing with other groups of people. And he says wealth, health, spirituality, education, politics, family dynamics all have standards. We're either doing what is needed to meet them or not. Any other thinking is just simply irresponsible and lazy. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sister Beshua says, sis, the public of fools, not the public fool system, is a joke. Not only are the reading levels low, but you have to wonder if they're teaching handwriting as in manuscript. They are already stopped teaching kids cursive in the schools. And she hit me again, says, sadly, the focus of schools nowadays is to prep students for the standardized test based on No Child Left Behind. It's not 3 R's anymore. 3 R's, for those of you who don't understand what she's saying, reading, writing, and arithmetic is what she's talking about. It's test preparation for school funding. And you're very right. And thank you so much, sis. Thank you, DDEC. Say, hey, sis, as a technical engineer, technical instructor for a major company, I see lack of comprehension and deductive reasoning every day with grown folks in their 30s and 40s. So naturally, what can we expect of the younger generation? That's crazy. Thank you, sis. Again, said there is also a teacher shortage because teachers are quitting because of the influx of disrespectful kids and parents who refuse to discipline them. It's bad all around. That I agree with. Thank you, Damien. Said, my sister, this is an excellent show and topic. I salute you. Thank you so much. Thank you once again, Charles, for your super sticker. I appreciate you. Thank you, Devon, as well, for your super sticker too. Thank you, Daniel, says, supporting the show. I appreciate you. Thank you, Terenzo, says, schools these days are more psychological manufacturing centers than what schools should be. One word has 5 different spellings, 5 meanings to confuse the reader. Thank you, Metho, said, at the start of the school year, one high school in Jamaica decided to ban edges because schools were abusing the hairstyle. The Breakfast Club called down there to complain about this policy. So sick. Thank you, Herb Saint, said the math ain't math, and literally, not the cat got a fade. Thank you, Ezel, said conjunction, junction, what's your function? Hooking up words and phrases and clauses. Y'all know I'll be down with the Schoolhouse Rock. Schoolhouse Rock was the business. They need to bring that all the way back. They need to bring that all the way back. All right. We're going to get on out of here. I want to thank you all for coming through, for supporting the show. I thought this was a very important show. So thank you all for taking the time to sit with me and listen to it. Jump down in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Like, share, subscribe to the channel if you have not. Once again, I'm your host of The Crimson Cure, and this was my perspective. Bye-bye, Crimsonites.